It's time for Tab Talks, your weekly conversation about matters of faith. I'm your host, Jennifer Rash.
And I'm your co-host, Debbie Campbell.
We are talking summer camps this week. Whether they will happen, will they happen, will they not? We don't know what's going to happen this summer, especially with the faith-based camps. And so we have with us Russell Klinner from Shocco Springs Baptist Conference Center in Talladega. Welcome, Russell.
Well, thank you for your invitation. I am excited to be here and hang out with you guys for a little while.
All right. Well, gosh, the weather is making us feel summer campish, and normally church groups and kids in all areas would be thinking about those camps. Parents especially, I'm guessing, would be signing up a lot of camps. What are you seeing out there in the general gist of summer camping? What's it like?
Well, it ranges across the board, lots of different viewpoints, lots of different opinions and thoughts. I was in a meeting yesterday with guys from Kentucky to Florida to Texas, a lot of camp directors. There was about 6 of us. We got together just discussing, and it's so diverse, from guys in Texas who are canceled everything all the way through August, to guys in Florida who are up in the middle of June trying to have camps, and then there's July's. It's all over the board. But for us here in Alabama right now, we cannot host camps. We're still under that government order that we can't do it yet. Our first camp that's still on the books is for the middle of June. June the 18th through the 22nd would be our first week of camp, where we would try to host that. So it's all across the board, Jennifer, to give you an honest answer. I don't know there's any one good answer from anybody right now.
So the middle of June, what does that mean as far as preparation? What are you doing to get ready for that camp?
We've got tons of list of things we started a couple of weeks ago with worst case scenario. How does it look? How does it progress and change? But it's everything from boxing meals in the dining hall so that the kids come straight through, grab their box meal, grab their drink, and they go back to wherever they are so they can keep their social distance. We separated all the tables in the dining room so that there's 6-foot spacing between tables, maximum of 8 per seat right now. We've taken precautions with all the rec stuff. We're seeking the CDC guidance as far as that goes. The pool can be open. From my understanding from those guys is getting in our chlorinated pool is like bathing in hand sanitizer. So it's just as safe as anything. It's just a matter of trying to maintain that social distancing at the same time. It's going to present its challenges to take a group of 400 or 500 youth and tell them, hey, you can't get around each other is going to be a challenge. It's going to take a lot of, one of the camp directors I was talking to yesterday, he said it's going to take a lot of those Nazi parents to get in there and keep them separated and be the law and keep them separated. But we're going to do our best to make it all happen as quickly as we can.
Russell, you mentioned that 400 or 500 kids. Are you looking at possibly making the numbers much smaller and limiting, or having like churches? Would they maybe send groups at different stages, same age group, but maybe only so many this week and so many the next or something? Any thoughts on that?
So, Miss Debbie, the way we do it, we're a host facility. We just provide the facility for everyone. And so we'll set the facility up by the guidelines with the spacing between seats and pews and all that kind of stuff. And then it'll be up to those group leaders to do the separation and how they break those groups up into those demographics and stuff. My opinion and the way that I kind of see it falling out right now is those church groups will kind of stay together in units as they move around camp. Our capacity in the worship space is about 1,500. So our group sizes in the summer usually run around 11 to 1,200. I anticipate those numbers to be way down this year. And so if we can run around 350 to 400 in those camps, then it'll be super easy to put 300 people in a space that's designed for 1,500 and keep them separated and in their groups and all. But we're really going to push that back to that church leader and that group leader to make sure that they're taking care of their kids. But we're going to provide the facility that enables them to do that. Additional hand sanitizers all over the place and all those kind of things.
Do you anticipate it hurting the experience, if you will, the kids having to be so restricted? As part of what is fun at summer camp, I think, is just the running around and being silly and all that you do, but all the restrictions, what will that do to their emotional impact, the emotional impact of it?
I think it'll definitely have an impact on it. I mean, when I think about camp and I think about the stories that are told to me over the years of I met my spouse and I met this person and I had this experience and I have friends from all over the state now because of this. I definitely think it'll impact that. I mean, there's part of camp is getting to know those people that you've never been around before and having that social interaction and just that coming together nature of it. So I definitely think it'll present challenges to that. I think it will. I've shared this a few times. I think it'll create a value in our heads of how much we miss that. I really do. But at the same time, I think the demographic of population that comes to camp, it's going to be hard. They're going to hang out. They're going to find ways to throw paper airplanes at each other and have fun. I think it'll happen. It just will definitely be different this year.
How will the lodging be handled? How will the lodging part of it be handled for camp?
So again, we push that housing back to those group leaders, all those church leaders, to put the kids in the spaces and to choose how they arrange them and all that. I think it's going to be again, it goes back to that. We hadn't really received guidance from the Department of Public Health or anything like that yet as far as it goes. But because those nature of holding those groups together, so if that church group can stay together in their unit, then they can house them however they need to house them in those spaces. The odd part of that is bringing multiple kids from multiple different households together into a church group. And so I know there's some challenges that go along with that. I've heard everything from some of the churches are planning on when they drop them off to get on the bus to do temperature checks and talk to them and make sure they haven't been sick in the past couple of weeks or had any kind of exposure or anything like that before they get on the bus. And then once they get on the bus, to keep them together as a unit.
So with the planning toward June, you've had all of this other time where you would normally have already had camps. What have you guys been doing at Shocco during this sabbatical time?
Yeah, so we've had a number of our staff that have gone home and worked from the house. All of our event coordinators and salespeople and all those are working from the house. Our essential staff, the maintenance guys, the grounds guys, some of our other directors who live on campus with me, we've all been here working, actively renovating. We've completely renovated first floor Bagley Center. We started that project in January. We entirely gutted the space and there's a new snack shop down there. It's no longer the snack shop. It's the station at Shocco where we've merged the hospitality desk, the bookstore, and the snack shop all into one new space. We've installed new seating in there. There's some leather couches and all kinds of stuff. Bagley Center first floor looks completely different than it did 6 months ago. So we've been actively trying to finish that. The grounds is beautiful. We've got all the flower beds clean and prepped, and no kids have tromped through them and destroyed everything. So they're in perfect condition right now. Campus is beautiful. I mean, if you walk through right now, the ryegrass is still blooming and just green as can be, and all the plants are in the ground. It's just eerily quiet right now.
Oh, I'm guessing it is really quiet. I do hope you're taking some really good marketing photos right now.
Absolutely.
How have you kept your staff motivated?
I think the biggest thing to keep our staff motivated is reminding them of what they're missing. You know, for us, it's providing this facility for people to get together. And over the past few weeks, it's just been constantly reminding them, and they remind me how much we miss it. I mean, when you walk around campus today, it's just quiet. Our staff are setting out all the aqua jump, everything's in, the big wet willy slide, the pool's prepped and cleaned, and it's just quiet. And we start to realize the value of that getting together. And I think that's the one thing God's been teaching me emphatically through this whole process is what it means to value something. I say I value a lot of things in life, but when I go through this process of pulling away from everything else back to the core of Shocco, it's not necessarily about Bagley Center and the renovations and all that mess. It's about a place where all these different people can get together and network and be the body of Christ and hang out and worship and glorify God in what we have. And it just makes me appreciate that so much and miss it. I mean, I wrote that article last week, but it was genuine. I really miss you guys. I do. I miss getting to see all the random people that come through every year and from the church workday educators that came, you know, they would typically have been here a few weeks ago, and I had it pop up on my calendar to go speak to them at lunch, and it was like, I don't get to do that today, you know? So it's helped me understand what it truly means to value stuff, even quiet time with my family and with my son, and I take for granted that time. But now it's, every afternoon when I get home, when I open the car door, Will is standing at the car door. He's ready to, hey, what are we going to do this afternoon? Let's go hang out. Let's go walk a trail. So I think God is really just refining those values. And I think to keep that staff motivated, it's just keep reminding them that the time is coming, the day is coming when Shocco will get back to hosting guests and doing what we do best. But realize that impact and don't forget it.
Russell, I know you all usually add summer
Mm-hmm.
staffing for the summer. Are you still making plans to do that?
We
And
are.
have you?
We are. Our summer staff will come in starting the 15th, which is just in a couple of days. We'll have about half of them come in on the 15th and start prepping and going through everything, and as we get everything set up for summer. We're going to be a little bit delayed in getting everything full staffed because we don't need them just yet. So May the 29th, we'll plan on having our full summer staff arrive. And then we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. And if the mandates pass and we can start hosting groups, then we'll take off working like we always have. So currently we're right on track. We're going to keep rolling and see how this pans out. But everything is so fluid and evolving right now. It's just a prepare, and it's kind of like my granddad would say of nailing Jello to the wall. You stick it up there and it moves as quick as you hit it. So
That's a great way to think about that.
it really is. Tomorrow it may be a completely different story.
That's true.
Well, the summer staff, did you have any people who had originally signed up, students had originally signed up, decide they did not want to try to come this summer? Did you have any expressing reservations at all?
No, we generally bring in mostly juniors in high school up through that sophomore of college. This is when they kind of start. We had a few of those who were relying on the hours that they would get working at Shocco. So I think there was a couple that we kind of gave them fair warning of, I don't know how many hours of work you're actually going to get this summer. And I think there were a couple of them that said, hey, I already have a job somewhere else. I'm just going to stay where I'm at for the summer just to make sure I get hours. But I think it's about 38 out of the 40 or so that are going to be here that still plan to be here regardless. So not too much drop.
How about your financial situation? Are you taking a hit there?
Absolutely. And that's what I was just poring over those numbers all day this morning, preparing for a board meeting and digging through. It all hangs in the balance right now. I mean, so far this year, looking back at it, we're about $1 million in the hole right now. And if those summer groups continue to cancel and we lose those and we're not allowed to host, it's a very dismal picture for the finances for this year. If we can host the summer as we currently have planned and we don't lose cancellations, we're still looking at probably $3 million of loss just this year, just loss. Thankfully, through the provisions we've had for years of saving and setting aside money for construction and things that we had planned to do, we'll make it through it. It'll be tough. It'll be hard decisions will have to be made. But we trust God in it and know He's right there in the middle of it and just lay it at His feet. And here's our ministry and do with it what you will. But at this point in time, and just looking back, it's so cool to see God's hand and preparing us as an organization for this. I know we've talked about in the past our construction of the chapel, and we were planning to start construction in August. And so we had resources that we had allocated for that. And now those resources that I thought were to build a chapel is resources we can use to sustain the organization through the rest of the year. And just knowing God's providence through it all. And He laid the groundwork years ago to carry us through this. And so it's just, it's huge. It's going to be difficult, but we'll make it through it for sure.
All right. So now you've been executive director for how long now?
Almost 3 years now.
3 years.
I think so.
Tell us a little bit about your background because you've been there a while.
I have been here. I've been here.
Yeah. Tell us about your journey and then what you've seen.
So I started when I was 16 years old as a grounds guy. just came as a summer job. That was my only intention, was to be here for a summer or two, finish high school and leave. God had absolutely different plans. He just kind of kept me around. I spent one summer away from Shocco at a paper mill interning in a chemistry lab. I was at Auburn, enrolled in Auburn in chemical engineering, and I got to intern one summer. And it was that summer where God just reminded me this is not where you're supposed to be, Russ. Like, I have other plans for you. You can pursue the world and you'll get the world, or pursue me and you get me. And that's when life kind of changed. And so I came back to Shocco after that, and have been here since then. And it's just neat to look back and see all the different roles and the different jobs at Shocco. I've worked from a lifeguard to the ropes course to the grounds guy, and worked in the kitchen for years, and event services, setting up tables and chairs and running sound, and just a little bit of everything. And so getting that exposure and that experience, it gives me I guess a unique opportunity to lead the organization, because I've worked the jobs that everybody else is working now. And so I get to see it from that perspective, but also now I get to see it from the top down, and it makes it unique, to say the least. But I guess that was 1992. I don't want to think back that far, but I started in 92. So yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while for sure. But I love it. I wouldn't do anything else. I don't know what else I'd do if it wasn't Shocco.
Could you see the markers of how you were prepared for this moment, so that the leader for such a time as this?
Absolutely. I tell everybody, I don't know why God chose me, but it's obvious that he chose me. And I feel called to the position, looking back at it. And like I say, having those day in, day out experiences of what it's like to work on the grounds crew, and what it's like to work everywhere else. And those years working under Buster as the operations guy, and digging in spreadsheets and working through the actual business side of Shocco, and just getting those exposures definitely prepares me for it. But I would honestly tell you, I don't think anything could prepare me for what we've been through in the past few months. And talking to all those other camp directors yesterday, that was the one thing that we all felt in common, is nobody's prepared for this. If we go back 6 months ago, all of our budget was the best it had been in years. We were all prepared. We were all working, had all these big plans and dreams, and this is where we're going. And then all of a sudden it completely changes. And to say I was prepared would be a lie. I prepared to run the organization, yeah, but nothing could have prepared me for what happened. I just don't know that any of us were prepared. Equipped, I think definitely God equipped us. God has equipped me for that. And so prepared, no. Definitely equipped by God to handle it, yeah. So I think there's two different kind of opinions, or two different thoughts that go along with that.
Right.
It's a journey every day to walk down, and it evolves, and we figure it out. And so yeah, I think that maybe that answers your question a little bit.
I wanted to know, Russell, how do you keep your staff motivated? What are some things that you do during this time of uncertainty? Like you said, it just kind of changes day by day almost. Any suggestions, ideas?
The biggest thing I can think of is open, transparent communication with as many employees as I can. We host staff-wide Zoom meetings where there's about 100 people in a Zoom meeting, and I get to share with them, here's where we are, here's where our finances are, here's exactly the payroll protection loan that we took out, here's how it is, here's how it works, here's the 8 weeks. And I think the biggest way, and that comes from having worked those departments and really seeking knowledge and wanting to know, I try to make sure that I over communicate with them as much as possible. And I think that keeps you motivated. It keeps you knowing, hey, this is where we are. There's no vagueness. I try not to leave a space for any kind of rumor or anything, because if you don't give them the information, people will create the information. And so we try to give them the best information that we can, as transparent as we can. I think for me, that's probably the best way to keep people motivated. And then, like I said before, just reminding them of this will pass. This is going to go away, and we get back to doing what it is that we do best.
Well, Shocco Springs is the official conference for the state of Alabama, for Alabama Baptist anyway, but it's not just for Baptist. You have a lot of different groups. Describe some of the different the variety of camps that you have. So I don't think it's always just a church camp, is it? There'll be lots of different things going on there.
Yeah, it's everything from the student lives and the Centric Kid, and those different Lifeway events that come to Shocco. So there's a lot of those that we host. But outside of that, it goes all over denomination. We have a lot of Methodist groups that come to Shocco. We have quite a few Presbyterian groups that come through, a lot of education groups that come through Shocco. We've hosted Habitat for Humanity for a long time. We've done Red Cross, just numerous Salvation Army, numerous different groups that we've hosted over those years. Our summertime is it's made up of youth, children, and college kids, and that varies wildly. We do the Oaks, which is an Auburn group that comes in usually in August, September, and they do their orientation. And so they come in and do that. It's just a diverse set. I mean, to put it on any one thing would be very difficult, but primarily it's the Baptist churches that keep us going. I mean, that's who our bread and butter would be.
What are some ways Baptist churches or churches of any type could help you right now to better weather the rest of this year?
I think the best way is to plan an event with us this fall, to let us do what we do this fall for you. That's the best way we can serve, and that's what we want to do. It's just a matter of being able to host those groups. We've been able to move a lot of our groups that were scheduled this spring and summer to the fall.
Mm-hmm.
So booking with us this fall is probably the best way that I could say, hey, you could help out.
Well, I know we at the Alabama Baptist and Tab Media did a team building experience at Shocco a couple of years ago. What were the guns that you shoot with? The
The bazooka ball guns.
Bazooka ball,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Those were fun.
I had to pull everybody back. They were having way too much fun shooting each other.
Were they having too much fun shooting you or shooting each other?
I don't know. What do you think? I don't know if I caught that. Maybe it was out. They were all coming after me.
May have been.
But the team building, you have the ropes course, you have all the different aspects, right? So you guys will put together a plan for groups too for team building.
Yeah,
with what we did.
We do, and we can do that for as small a group or as large a group as we want to do. So just a discipleship weekend with deacons retreat. I mean, we'd love to do that and host you guys. We have numerous deacons retreats that come through, especially in this time as we get back to getting together in those smaller groups. I think it's important for us to be able to network and hang out together. There's conversations and things that will happen face to face that Zoom can never replace. It's cool sitting in here with you and Miss Debbie right now, but it's not the same as being in person. If we were sitting across the table, I can read you a whole lot better, and we can interact. And there's just a piece of that that's missing. And I don't care how good it is, it's never going to replace the face to face. And my staff would tell you my wife would tell you I'm a hugging person. It's just something, I don't know why I am, but I like to hug. I like to put my arm around you. There's just something about an embrace that can't be replaced. And I can smile at you.
Mm-hmm.
And as we get back to being able to do those things, I think that's where Shocco provides a place that you can't have anywhere else. When you can get out and sit by the lake and watch the sunrise and sit on the bench with that people that you're connecting with, it's a completely different environment. It just changes everything. I'm convinced that it's not God speaks differently here. It's that we listen differently here. It's God speaks the same and we interact the same, but we don't listen the same. When you can get all those distractions and everything else away, and it's just that quiet stillness of Shocco, you hear better. And so that's what we want to do. And if we can provide that through team building or rec activities or conference space or dining or whatever that is, that's what we want to do, is get back to doing that.
I know we've attended a lot of meetings through the years there. There's all kinds of activities. And so Debbie and I'll be excited to see the renovation, because I think it was under construction when we were there.
Yeah.
Were we there in February, Debbie? Is that when we were there? In
February, it was gutted and gross. It's clean and nice now.
All right. We can't wait. Well, I have one last question.
Yeah.
I'm a hugger too, and I'm feeling really strange. Are you going through any kind of withdrawals and feeling like maybe we now know what introverts feel like or something.
I'm that weird person. I go through phases. There are times when I want to be like in that social group and balled up, and then there's seasons where I want to get away. Like I want to go to the top of the mountain quiet by myself and sit and read and pray and hang out. But I like to come back from that back into the middle of the crowd and have that tight social interaction. And I miss it. Like it does. Like it bothers me. It bothers me at the end of the day to not be able to go back up to the dining hall and have all that social interaction. So I don't know. It's tough for people like us, I think.
Yeah. Well, see, I even wore my cap. I'm ready for summer camp. I like being social.
Debbie was
Well,
trying to transport herself there.
I had planned to do this down by the rec area. I was going to go sit in the rec area and do this down there so you could see everything. But I got wrapped up fooling with spreadsheets and everything else trying to prepare for a board meeting later this month and just completely forgot to. So
No.
I'll be sure to post some pictures here and there or send you some so you can see it.
Please do
Okay.
that. Please send us photos. All right, we've been talking with Russell Klinner, Executive Director of Shocco Springs Conference Center in Talladega, Alabama. They have lots going on there in the fall for sure, so be sure to check them out. Shocco.org, is that right?
That's right, SHOCCO.
Shocco.org. And Russell also has a feature in the May 14 issue of the Alabama Baptist, which is part of Tab Media, so be sure to check that out as well to hear more from his We Miss You article. I was just looking to make sure I had that line, We Miss You article. All right, well, we miss you, Russell. And
Well, thank you.
we
Thank
look
you
forward
for
to-
the chance to be on and share with you guys and hang out. I'll miss you, and we'll get a big hug when we get back together.
I like it.
Right.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for listening. We'll be back next week.
Thank you.